Welcome to Futures Fever, where we dive deep into the world of futures trading and uncover opportunities no matter the market conditions, because volatility is simply an opportunity to find profitable trades. So don't sit back and relax, but sit up and engage as Futures Fever, powered by Apex Trader Funding, starts right now.
Boom, boom, boom. What is up, traders? Welcome back to your favorite futures show, Futures Fever, here on Benzinga, sponsored by the top prop firm out there, Apex Trader Funding. I'm your host, Kevin Dubriske, and I've got a super special guest today. We have the one and only André, the founder of a company called Edgeful. Now, Edgeful is a statistic-based, one-of-a-kind platform that gives us some insight into trading strategies and their probabilities. But first, we're going to cover some slides. What is Apex Trader Funding and how you could profit with the prop firm? So what's on today's agenda? We're going to look into what is Apex Trader Funding and how it works, some market insights and trade setups with André, and we're also going to be doing a giveaway. So make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and we'll get the show on the road. So why trade with Apex Trader Funding? Guys, Apex Trader Funding gives traders access to funded accounts, removing the need to risk personal capital. So whether you're a week into trading, a year into trading, 10 years into trading, if you feel like you're still at that point where you're a break-even trader, you haven't really seen that consistency yet, a prop firm might be your best bet so you're not losing any of your own capital, so you could start to trade without that emotional attachment to your account. Gets access to firm capital to trade futures markets. We're not trading options or stocks. We're just trading futures. You earn up to 90%. It's 100% of the first 25K you make. After that, it's a 90-10 split. And there is zero personal liability, guys. You trade stress-free. Good morning, guys. Trade stress-free. It's an efficient way to scale and grow as a trader, and there's no specific timetable. They don't say you have to trade 4 days in a row. You have to trade 8 days total in a row. You could take your time with it, really break it up. It's a 3-step process, guys, with the prop firm. So first step is your evaluation account. Then you get on your funded account. Once you're funded, you pass a certain threshold, and then you're able to take out your payouts. Guys, it's that simple. Very easy process. Just got to show them that you're a consistent trader. And today's guest is going to show you guys how to find consistent strategies. And there are no long-term contracts, guys. Something else with Apex is there's no long-term commitment to them, right? If you want to trade a few days and then take off a few months, go right ahead. If you want to trade a month or two, get a payout or two, and keep that funded account, but you don't feel like trading it, you need to take some time off, that's fine. There's no penalty. They won't deactivate your account. Trade at your leisure. That's one of the benefits of trading. Tips for top account sizes. Now, these are some of the top account sizes that Apex offers. That would be the 25K account that has a goal of $1,500 and a trail stop of $1,500. So we wouldn't necessarily want to use a 2% rule on a 25K prop firm account because we're not really trading with a 25K account. So usually I would say don't risk more than $150 on a $1,500 trail stop per trade because that would give you 10 incorrect trades in a row. And again, at that point, maybe it's time to step back and start to reevaluate your strategy anyways. A 50K account, your goal is now double to 3,000. I know, yo, Tiny Pie, man, no gold tie today. I was going to bring it for Powell, but we'll see how jobs report comes in on Friday. Trail stop is 2,500. Same situation. We're not risking 2% of 50K because that would be $1,000 risk on a $2,500 trail stop. You're going to blow the account in less than 3 trades. That is not how we want to trade. That's poor risk management. 150K account, as you guys see, the goal starts to get much, much larger while the trail stop barely gets any bigger. So that's why definitely when you get started, guys, we want to get beginning on a 25K, possibly a 50K account. There are no sales right now. So guys, if you do use discount code FFEVER, that's right up here, you do get 50% off of your Apex accounts. We are doing a giveaway. Fill out the form in the comments for a chance to win a free Apex account. Last week's winner was Seda. Congratulations, Seda, won a free Apex account. Fill out that form. Join us here every Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And now a drum roll for our special guest, André of Edgeful. André, man, so great to have you on. How are you? Welcome.
I'm great. How are you? It's good to be here. It's good to be speaking. How is everything?
Dude, doing good, man. Happy Wednesday. So tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into Edgeful and how we as traders, everyday traders, could use Edgeful to find some consistency in their systems and in their
Yeah.
trading to get payouts.
Yeah. So just a little bit about my background. So my background is in finance and accounting. Well, first of all, hello everyone. I'm the CEO and founder of Edgeful. My background is in finance and accounting. I used to work at a hedge fund and then I also worked at Goldman Sachs. So I do have the finance background. I just some context on Edgeful. I actually left Goldman and I started to trade for myself. When I started to trade for myself, I never knew, and this is, I'm assuming, a problem that a lot of people have. I'm actually going to touch on this exact issue today. But I never knew whether to go long or short. Like, what should my bias be going into the morning, right? I never knew, and I needed to figure something out to determine my bias every day. And one of the things I came across was called the gap fill. One of my favorite reports. Like, literally, it's like my child. Like, I love it so much. Something that sets up every single day. Like, it doesn't require some like external catalyst. Every single day, price will open either above or below yesterday's close. And based on that, that could give you a bias. It can give you a target, right? So again, just for a little bit of context on how like Edgeful was actually started, I used to do it all in Excel. I used to buy the price data for $60 every couple of months, every month or so, put it into Excel, build the reports myself in Excel.
Wow.
And it became like super unsustainable. It was, number one, the data was super expensive to continue to buy, but if I wanted to build in any variants or any sort of like filters or anything else, it would take like 5 or 6 hours to make sure that it's like a scalable model. So pretty much like doing this type of analysis in Excel is like a nightmare. And I went to go look for a product like this and I couldn't find anything. Every software that I found was either from like Windows 95 style, or I needed to be a programmer to use it. And like, I'm not a programmer, like I don't know how to write code. So I was like, you know what? I think that there is like a huge hole in the market for day traders. So I want to build something, and that's literally how Edgeful was formed.
Okay, so it came from your own trading journey. This is something that you personally wanted to sort of figure out to sort of become easier for you because you've been doing all of this back testing. You've been trying to
Yeah,
figure out these spreadsheets, and I've used Edgeful myself, and it
yeah,
is really quite the platform. The way you simplify everything, any statistic you want to know, like what are the odds that we fill a gap fill that's the size of a 0.20%. You want
yeah,
to know it? Edgeful has that. You don't have
yeah.
to back test. You don't have to take hours throughout the day. You want to know it, you get it in seconds. And that is
Exactly.
fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. And I can pull up my screen too to show you, so to show everyone like how you could
Yeah.
have used specifically the gap fill today to take a really nice trade. So there it is. Okay. So just for some context, guys, this over here is Edgeful. I have the homepage up at the moment. So this homepage has 5 different sections that will give you all of the info. Like 95% of everything you need to know about the features of Edgeful are going to be right here. So where do you get started? It's going to be this homepage, right? So this is the first video here is actually how to take a fully data back trade. It's called the ultimate bullish setup. This is how you combine a few reports to take a fully data back trade from the bias to the targets to the stop to the entry, literally everything. And then down here, we go over some of the main features and we continue down, and pretty much this is going to be your place to get started. This is super important that you guys look at. Play these videos on 2x speed. It doesn't matter, but they are very important to actually have success with the platform. So I just wanted to start there. But now I want to show you how you guys could have actually taken a data-backed trade today. So I'm going to walk you guys through kind of like step by step, a few reports that will, number one, right at the open, tell you that that short bias was not the right move today. Right off the bat, right? At 9:30, you know that that short bias was not the right move for for the morning.
On the ES or
So
NQ?
NQ, or I mean, in this case, both of them, but
Yep.
I'm going to focus on NQ for the sake of this
Sure.
whole conversation. So I'm going to go over here to the reports. This is like the core of Edgeful. So I'm going to go to NQ, and then I'm going to go to I'm on the gap fill report right now. So the first thing in terms of like my daily routine, is the first thing I do is I check the gap size. Edgeful will actually tell you what the gap size is right here in like this live data section. But what you can see right here is that the gap size today is, one second, right over here to right over here. So 0.64%, right? 0.64%. So now if we go to the by size subreport, I'm going to explain this all in a second, but this is very important. If we go to the gaps of these sizes, it's actually a coin toss on whether it's going to fill. So what does that mean? What is a gap fill? We're going to go to the previous day's closing price. That's this red line right here. The gap fill report, which is the one that started this company, pretty much says how often does price come back to touch this red line.
And we're
right?
talking about the New York session gap fill, right? 4
Correct.
p.m. Eastern to 9:30
Correct.
a.m. in the morning.
That's exactly right. So the reason that this gives you a target and a bias every day is because if price opens within a certain range of this area, there's a very high likelihood that it's going to come back and touch. If it opens further away, the likelihood starts to obviously diminish, right? So this right here, this previous session's close, this previous New York close, is this key level that forms every single day that I was just talking about a second ago. So now, what we see is that when you look at this is a very big gap. So this means that you don't want to have a bearish bias right at the morning, right off the bat. You do not want to expect this to happen today because of the size of the gap. So number one, if everyone is looking for this, like, oh, we had a big overnight gap, we're going to sell off immediately. This is how you take a step back and you say, I don't want to take a coin toss trade, right? Nobody wants to take a coin toss trade. Now, another report that you could have used is the outside days report by size. So this is very similar, right? I'm going to go over here.
That's cool. What's this report show us?
Yeah, so I'm going to show you right now. So it's very, very, very similar to the gap fill, but instead of checking if it retraces to the previous day's close, we're saying how often does it retrace to the previous day's high?
Okay.
So very similar, right? Same thing. Opened above, previous day's high. How often does it retrace to the previous day's high? Very simple. Open below previous day's low. How often does it retrace to the previous day's low? It's
Okay.
both of these are reversal strategies, reversal setups. So what we see again for this type of size, in terms of like the size of this move overnight, 50% of the time it's going to reverse. So now, immediately at 9:30 a.m., I know that my bias is not to target this area and then also this area, right? So these two areas I'm avoiding today.
Okay.
Right? That's step one. This happens every single day. This is one of the ways where you can say, I'm not going to be the one who's looking to take these shorts right at the open, right?
Right.
I'm sure a lot of people didn't do well this morning looking for this continuation down. And the Edgeful reports, the gap fill and the outside days would help you stay out of those bad trades. Does that make sense so far, guys?
Bro, that's great. Guys, if you have any questions at all, please drop them in the comments. Drop what trading strategy you use in the comments too, and we could see if Andre has that Edgeful sort of back test on it.
Yeah.
That report, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, please don't be shy with any questions. We're here live, so let's just don't be shy with the questions. But so these two reports now are very key, and they form practically every day. The gap fill every single day, and then the outside days doesn't form every day, but it does form very often. And this was my immediate key to say, you know what? I'm not looking for the shorts today. I'm looking for some sort of bounce. Now, I'm going to clean this up. And now what I want to touch on is a couple of these other reports. Now I'm going to go to the one thing to mention, which is actually really helpful in order to actually determine previous day's high and previous day's close. If you guys notice here, I have these blue boxes on my chart. What these blue boxes are the custom Edgeful indicators that are actually part of the plan. So what you can see is that I have my New York session high and low. For anyone who trades the London session or the Asian session, you can customize these and turn them on. And now you have your London range, your Asian range, you have literally like everything plotted for you. So you don't have to say like, where's my New York open? Where's my New York high? Where's my previous days, this or that? The indicator is going to automatically plot this for you. So super important. As a futures trader, it is very key. I mean, most people use the extended trading hours chart. It is very key that you guys understand where your sessions start and end.
Yep.
So I just wanted to mention that we have 35 TradingView indicators that are part of the Edgeful plan. Just wanted to mention that because the reason I even brought that up is I'm gonna show one right now.
That's cool. That's cool. So
Yeah.
you guys have the indicators sort of back up like the reports that you're looking at. Say, okay, I'm looking at the gap fill today. Boom, I have my gap fill indicator. Does the gap fill indicator show the size of the gap fill, or it just plots it?
It just plots it. And then
Okay.
we have in the live data section, we'll always show the relevant data up top. So whether you're looking at ES or NQ or whatever else, you're going to see all the information right at the top. So if I go back to my gap
Oh,
fill report,
wow.
you can see right here, gap size, the gap status is not filled. You can see my bias is bullish, all based on data, right?
Wow.
I want to make something really clear to everyone here that nothing in Edgeful is my opinion. There are zero opinions in here. This is all historical data. This is all going based on what has happened. This is not whether I think that this certain futures contract or stock or crypto or Forex is going to make a new high or whatever else. There's no opinions in here. That is super key for a trader to have long-term success. You have to be trading with the data. And what's really nice is that obviously this updates every day. So you get to stay in touch with the changes in the market environment, right? Like I was explaining earlier, I used to have to pay $60 a month just for the price data, just for the raw price data. So now I would have to update that, obviously. Like if you did an analysis 6 months ago, it's not relevant anymore.
Yep.
So Edgeful will update every single day. So you can actually have a pulse on what's happening in the current market environment. That's super important. I'm sure everyone watching has heard the term, you have to adapt to changing market environments. You have to adapt. But like, what does that mean to someone who's new? It means that you need to understand how the data is changing and what the actual data is showing now.
Wow,
Sorry about the tangent there, but
yeah. No, dude, that's amazing. That's a great rundown. So gave us a little bit of an overhead of Edgeful. Do you mind giving us a little bit of how you would go about doing a little bit like a pre-market prep, finding that A+ setup so that traders know what to look for? Again, when we're passing an eval account, when they want to be consistent on their Apex account, what should their go-to strategy be?
So I want to touch on something that I think is very important right over here. I'm gonna pull this up. This is something that I show all traders that I talk to. So this is a chart that shows the probability of taking a certain amount of consecutive losing trades based on a win rate, right? So a lot of traders, you will hear 2-to-1 risk to reward, 50% win rate, right? That is profitable. It does work, right? Now, one of the things that people don't really know is, okay, if I take a 50% win rate strategy, what is the probability that I take a certain amount of consecutive losing trades? So this is very important if you are looking to pass an eval, right? Obviously, we need to get away from that drawdown, right? That max loss rather quickly, right? When you get a new account, you want to start off on a good note. You obviously, I mean, nobody wants to start off in drawdown, of course. Like nobody wants to lose trades ever. But right here, if we look, if your win rate is 50%, there is a 52% chance that you take 7 losing trades in a row. So you need to make sure that you adjust your position size to account for that. So in terms of where to start with a new eval, you want to kind of lean, there's no right answer, just to be clear. You want to lean towards something that has a higher win rate, which typically has a smaller risk to reward. Maybe a 1-to-1, maybe even less than a 1-to-1. But what happens is a lot of traders will enter a trade with a 3-to-1 risk to reward. And with a 3-to-1 risk to reward, your win rate could be a lot lower. But then the problem is that when you do that, if you don't hold to your 3R target, you're not actually trading a 3-to-1 risk to reward strategy. You're trading a 1-to-1 or a 2-to-1 or wherever you take your profits,
Right.
but with a lower win rate, which actually doesn't end up being profitable. So there's a really big key.
Yep.
New traders typically they struggle to hold on to their winners. So bring in that profit target, trade a lower risk to reward with a higher win rate, right? There is no one way to do it. That's personally how my personality works. I don't want to hold an NQ trade for 150 points. 40 to 60 points, I'm super happy. But right here, this is just one thing that I wanted to mention to you guys about like picking a certain strategy based on your personality and based on your risk tolerance, right? This is going to be very important for understanding how to manage your risk when you're passing an eval. This is really, really, really key, guys. So I'm going to put this away now, but I just wanted to highlight that because that is very important. So now I have the Edgeful screener open. I'm going to walk you guys through exactly what this is, but this is one of the ways where you can get a very strong daily bias every day.
With the futures markets?
Specific, yeah. So
Awesome.
We have the futures in here. The way that I like to look at this is I select all assets. And then, so that includes futures and stocks. The reason that I like to include stocks as well is because the futures markets are it's an S&P 500 index. It's a NASDAQ index. So it's made up of the underlying assets, right?
Yep.
So what I do is I will put in the top 10 weighted stocks in the NASDAQ and the S&P. So now we have a pulse on what's actually going on in the markets, right? We're trading the NQ futures. We're trading the ES futures. If we know what all the underliers are doing and what the data is there, that's going to help us trade the ES and the NQ.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Fantastic. Absolutely. Yeah, no, those
Perfect.
internals have a lot of strength. If Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, those are crushing higher, we're going to feel that on something like the NASDAQ and
Exactly.
ES.
Exactly. Now, the template that I like to use is called the daily bias template. So these are 4 reports that are going to give you very strong daily bias based on what's actually happening today in the top 10 weighted stocks in the S&P and the NASDAQ. So every single day, this is going to update. Every single day, this is going to change based on what's actually happening live. And you can see these are the 4 reports. But what you can see up top, so if I scroll down, you're going to see what all of the different bias across the board. But what you can see is that today, 70% of all of the major market movers, including ES, NQ, RTY, YM, so including the major indices, are going to have a bullish bias today. And so far, the majority of the move has been to the upside.
Yep. Wow, look at that. That's awesome. That's a great tool right there.
Yeah. So in terms of creating that plan, now I'm going back for a second to how do you actually create a plan to actually take a trade every single day, right?
Yeah.
We're going to go and put on our opening candle continuation indicator. And I'm going to go over this report right now. So I'm going to go to my opening candle continuation. I'm going to go to NQ. And what do we see right here? There's a green box right here. This is from the open of 9:30 to 10:30. If the first hour is green, 78% of the time in the last 6 months, that New York session has closed green.
Wow. That's a great stat.
Yeah, this is the step 1 to creating your daily bias. You can't really take a trade on this, but this is layer 1, right? This is layer 1 to taking your data back to trade. Now, if the opening candle is green, and by the way, it'll tell you this up here, it'll give you all the information up here too. So you don't actually even have to have it on your trading view charts, but we do give you guys the option, obviously. If that opening candle is red, 73% of the time, that session has closed red. So again, very strong daily bias based on that first hour. Now
Andre,
Go ahead.
sorry to interrupt. The difference, I guess, between the opening candle continuation versus the initial balance, because that also measures the first hour of the New York
Yeah.
session open, I guess is just ideally how that first hour closes versus
Yeah.
breaking
So
out or not.
I'm going to touch on the IB right now. The IB, so the opening candle is the color,
Right.
right? If it closes above or below the 930, the initial bounce is
The break.
the high and the low,
Gotcha.
right? So now I'm going to put on my IB indicator. You don't even have to have these on, honestly, but I just put on my IB indicator, and you can see automatically plotted for me every single day is the high and the low of that first hour. So you can see right here, again, here's the IB high, here's the IB low, right? So let's touch on the IB report for a second. Initial balance breakout. In
And
the
again,
last
guys,
six,
sorry
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt. I just want to say again, guys, these are all different strategies that you can apply to your own trading to try to pass your eval, stay consistent. The best part
Exactly.
about Edgeful is, like Andre said, there's no emotional or bias attached to it where we're like, oh, I think we're going to continue higher. No, it's all statistic based. There is
Exactly.
no guessing here. You're going to get an exact number. Numbers don't lie.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. And so the initial balance, right? It is the high and the low of the first hour. It's always a range. It sets up every single day because the first hour forms every single day, right? So in the last 6 months on NQ, what you can see is that 73% of the time, price has only broken out to one side of the initial balance, right? So you can see here that today, price broke out to the top side. And now it looks pretty bearish right now, but typically, and it could happen today, right? It could happen today. But typically, you don't want to expect this to happen because 31 out of 131 days have actually double broken the IB. So in this case, 23% of the time in the last 6 months, this has happened, right? Doesn't mean it can't happen today. It did happen 23% of the time. It could happen today, but it is the less likely side of the coin, right? So in terms of a bias, if you're going for this move down here, you have to know that that has happened only 31 out of 131 days. So it's super important that you guys understand. So now if you're short here, again, I'm not saying it's not going to happen today, but this is your way to say it's not very likely that price is going to do one of these.
Right. As traders, we're not gamblers. We want to trade with the probabilities. If we see
Exactly.
the odds are against us that we hit that price level, if anything, we might even be able to try a long over here off this
Exactly.
23,400 with a stop loss at the initial balance low.
Exactly.
The odds are we don't break it.
Exactly. That's exactly how you would use this. And so what's really, really nice is when the opening candle is green and price breaks to the IB high. Why? Because the IB, once it breaks the IB high, 73% of the time, it's not going to make that reversal in the last 6 months. And then the other piece is that when the opening candle is green, 78% of the time, that session is closed green. So we have two very strong reports that are north of 70% that are telling us that the bias today is long.
Yep.
So in that case, I just showed you how to combine two reports to give you a long bias. And then earlier, I showed you why you should not have a short bias targeting yesterday's high and yesterday's close, right? So now we have four reports that gave us the long bias, right? And now you could have taken this move up right over here. Typically, a lot of traders, I don't know for the guys watching, but typically a lot of traders are done by now, right? You're typically not trading all day. You're not trading throughout the entire session. You probably, for the most part, are done trading by noon Eastern time, maybe 1 Eastern time, maybe 11 Eastern time, whatever it is.
Yep.
And that's where your session is done by now. So in this case, the move to catch was the one right here. There is another report that I want to show you guys. I'm trying to throw as much as I can at everyone. I mean, you guys can watch this back. I do recommend watching this back. But where is it? IB by rejection. So this is another extremely powerful report that shows you before the IB even breaks, right? So I'm going to go to a 1 minute chart here just to really show the importance here.
And guys, don't forget, leave your questions in the chat. I see a few
Yeah.
questions stacking up. What's up, 3D? What's up, Ice Baby? What's going on, Marcelo? What's going on? Good morning, guys. Hope you're all doing well. We'll get to those questions in just a moment.
Yeah. So IB by rejection. What does it do? What does this measure? This looks at which side of the initial bounce forms first. So you can see today, the low of the initial bounce, which is right over here, formed before the high, right? So the high formed second, the low formed first, the high formed second. You can see that right over here. Obviously, this low is before this high, right? So where I'm going right here is IB low formed first, which is this bucket right here. So today falls into this bucket. The data up here will tell you, obviously, right over here, which side formed first. You don't even have to look at your charts. You don't need to figure it out. This is going to tell you right over here. But for every time the IB low formed first, 80% of the time in the last 6 months, price will break the IB high first, right? So the opening candle at 10:30 is green. At 10:30, the initial balance also forms. So now you have this locked in. Now, because the low formed first, on this pullback right over here, you want to target this IB high because 80% of the time, price has broken the high of the IB first.
That's a cool stat.
Right over here is where you're going to target. And it's really nice when there is a nice pullback right as the IB breaks and you have a green opening candle, which I showed you guys is bullish. You have the IB by rejection, which I told you guys is bullish. So now where is your TP1 or your TP in general is going to be this move right over here on NQ 35, 36 points.
Wow.
Then you're done for the day, right?
Yep.
You caught your move. You're done for the day. This obviously translates to MNQ also. So for the guys trading the micros on when you're trying to pass that eval, it translates. And you can actually pick MNQ in here. So you guys can actually see like the data for the micros, even though they're not exactly the same, because something people don't know is that they don't actually trade exactly to the tick, but they're extremely similar.
Yeah.
So to recap for a second, there was a green opening candle today, which is bullish. The low of the IB formed first, which is bullish. Price breaks to the IB high, so this trade that you could have taken right here is bullish again, right? So you have 3 different confluences that are telling you to be bullish, in addition to the other confluences that I showed you guys before, not to be bearish.
Yep. Nice. That's beautiful, man. That's great confluence there. That's what we were talking about the last episode, guys. It doesn't matter what strategy you use, what system you use, whether you use Edgeful or not. When we're trading, using confluence adds probability. We're not flipping a coin here. We're looking for confluence. And Edgeful is a great platform if you use some of these strategies, so you don't have to go back and figure out what are the odds and everything. It does that for you.
Exactly. And this, honestly, guys, this screener, when you set it up the way that I did, so all I do is I put all, again, for anyone who's just coming in now, the screener, I use the top 10 weighted stocks in the NASDAQ and the S&P. I also include the major indices. And now every day, this is going to be your best friend, so you no longer have to guess if price is going to go up or down, or the bias should be bullish or bearish, because this is going to tell you every day. So I just wanted to make that clear, guys. This screener sets up every single day. So tomorrow, it could be fully bearish. It could be neutral. One of the things that I have seen traders use this for is when this is actually more 50-50, right? The bullish and bearish bias is more 50-50. What you're going to see, it's not a guarantee, of course, but a lot of this.
Right, chop.
Because the major market movers are not moving in confluence. They're all opposing each other. All the data is saying that they're going in the opposite direction. So, guys, on those days, paper trade, size down. Don't pull in your profit target. Like, don't swing for the fences on days that don't have confluence, right?
Yep.
Super important that we make our money, but we also have to avoid losing money. That is very, very key. Like, I'm sure a lot of you guys can easily make a few $100s or a few $1,000s, but the problem is that you also take these trades that are not data backed, and then you end up losing some of that money or more than you had made because you're just looking to take a trade, when in reality, your trade, like for example today, is already done.
Yeah.
Right? The market's not going anywhere. Paper trade. If you have the itch to trade, paper trade, right? Trade tomorrow. The market's not going anywhere, guys. I just want to make sure that I'm trying to like hammer this point home of understanding the bias that is data backed. I'm trying to give you guys the understanding of the market isn't going to go anywhere. You don't need to pass an eval overnight.
Yep. That's right. Take your time.
Take your time, right? You don't need to pass an eval overnight. You can take it slow, even if it takes a month, even if it takes 2 months, that's fine. But you want to build a process, because that consistency, that long-term consistency comes with the process.
Absolutely.
You cannot guess your way to success in the markets or in anything, honestly. There's nothing to do with the market specifically. In anything, if you're going to be guessing, you're just going to be kind of winging it, good luck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We got some questions in the chat. You mind if we hit those, Andre?
Yeah, of course. Let's do it.
Awesome. So 3D had a couple questions. We'll hit the first one was, is this unique screener or are there other versions out there? So like what makes this unique from the others?
Yeah, so this is actually all fed through the Edgeful reports. So this is not a typical screener. This is not something I'm not going to like call, I'm not going to say any names, but this is not a standard screener. You're not filtering for like market cap above this or price change above this or whatever else. This is all fed through the Edgeful report. So you can see opening candle continuation, initial bounce, IB by rejection, previous day's range report, right? So this is not a typical screener. This is pretty much giving you live data based around the Edgeful report. So there is nothing like this that exists, because the foundation of it is around the reports that exist inside of Edgeful.
Yep. 3D also asks, what time do you check? So I guess when you're doing your pre-market analysis yourself, what time do you check and how long does it normally take you? If you're not explaining it to all of us, how long does it take you to figure it out? Is it a quick breakdown?
It's for me, it's really quick. Now, the reason that, and it might seem a little bit overwhelming the way that I explained it, but the key thing is, where is previous day's close, right? That's it. So like first thing, previous day's close, where is it relative to price right now? So 9 o'clock, I'll start to look, like for example, today, we're obviously going to open above, right? At 9 o'clock, like it's pretty much guaranteed that we're going to open above the previous day's close. So now I know, okay, gap up. I also know we're opening above previous day's high, right? Immediately, first thing I'm doing is I'm going to those reports and I'm checking the sizes. First thing, right? And then from there, some of these other reports can only start to form as the market starts to play out, right? As time passes in the market. So there are a few reports that I look at every single morning to just get an understanding of like, okay, where are we? Because if we're opening within yesterday's range, not to go into it right now, but there's another report for opening within yesterday's range that's going to tell me how often does price break out of yesterday's range. So I'm not going to use the outside days report because today's an inside day. And 80% of the time in the last 6 months, price is going to break out of either yesterday's high or yesterday's low when we open inside of this range. So again, that gives me a different target.
Yep.
So that's the type of thing that I'm doing is, where is price now? What is yesterday's high and low? What is yesterday's close? And these are the types of things that give me the bearings on what to look at today.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Good structure behind it, right, guys? As a trader, you need structure. If you're just sort of winging it, jumping from strategy to strategy, report to report, indicator to indicator, you're not going to be seeing consistent on your strategy. So you're not going to be seeing consistent results, and you're not going to be able to further develop as a trader.
Exactly.
We got another question. What's up, Ice Baby? Saying, what's up, Kevin? Good to see you. He asked, am I live on Benzinga Daily? I wish, man. Hopefully soon we'll manifest that into play, man. For sure. We'll get under the producer's skin, and I promise I'll get there. Somebody else was asking about Apex's sale. They were running a 90% off. Unfortunately, that sale ended last night. So even though there's no current sale, you do still save 50% when you use discount code FFever. So you never are paying full price. You do get a 50% discount. Mr. Mystery was asking, is it accurate about Edgeful's report? So when does Edgeful's report update?
So I saw that question come in when I was talking about this.
Okay.
But this actually doesn't relate to Edgeful at all. This is just if you look at statistics and you look at the probability of a certain win rate around 100 trade sequence. So you guys can obviously check this. I mean, this is like, you can look at this, you can just look it up. There's like a million different versions of this on Google. We just made our own, so we have like our own branded version. This is nothing unique to us. This is purely like statistics. But just to answer the other question, because I think I did see another question about like when does this update?
Yes.
Every single night, this will, like, all of the data inside of Edgeful will update the historical data here, but the live data obviously updates live, right? So like the screener, for example, this updates like as price action forms, this will update. So like, for example, like Apple hasn't broken out of the IB yet. Once it breaks out, obviously this is going to update. Or if it breaks out, it's not necessarily going to break out, but like it will up, the live data updates live, the historical data updates every night.
Okay. Somebody else was asking, is Edgeful integrated into the Apex platform? Akin, great question. They aren't integrated into Apex, but because they have their trading view connection with their indicators, what you could do is when you purchase an Apex account, right, you would say get a TradeOvate account with Apex, and then you would trade with that Apex account on TradingView. From there, you're able to use your Edgeful indicators, you're able to see your Edgeful reports, and this also is extra helpful that they aren't integrated. So if you use a Rhythmic account or you use a Wealth Chart account, you don't need the indicators. The TradingView indicators are a fantastic plus, but it's really the Edgeful platform itself that gives us that edge in the market.
Exactly.
And Frozen was asking, is GC Screener available?
I don't think so. So anything that we don't have in here, so you can just send us a request to actually get it added in. So you can see right over here, we have live support. We can actually get it added in here. But yeah.
Oh, cool. That's awesome, guys. They got a great support team. I know I messaged once and they got back in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
They're like,
it's not an AI bot. We do have an AI integration in there, but we do have like real people that actually answer.
Very good. Guys, don't forget, fill out that form in the comments for a chance to win a free Apex evaluation account. Andre, man, thank you so much for being here today.
Of course. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. I love to talk to passionate traders. It's the best.
Good, man. Awesome. So great to have you. Do you have any last minute thoughts, any last minute tips or strategies you think that as a new trader should sort of focus on when trying to pass like a 50K account with Apex?
Yeah. So guys, don't rush it, right? You don't need to pass in 2 days. I know that everyone posts online that they made whatever, all this money online, right? And that gives you this like sense of urgency to pass quickly. Guys, don't rush, right? This is a long-term game. You want to be here for the next few years, next few decades. You don't want to be here for the next few weeks or months, right? One of the most important things is that if you are trading and you're like, I feel like this high is going to be taken out, or I feel like price should hit this low, whatever else, that's your biggest enemy. Whenever I say you can't trade with your emotions, you have to trade with the data. That is exactly what I'm talking about. This like FOMO, this greed, this fear around trading. Like if you don't have a proper target and a reason to take a trade, then you should not be in that trade. This is super important for you guys. I try as hard as I can to like really hammer this home. You don't want to be in a trade if you don't understand why you're in it, or if you don't know why you're in it. It is very important, guys. You have to be trading with data. This is what the biggest institutions do. I worked at a hedge fund. I worked at Goldman Sachs. I'm telling you because I know this. I'm not telling you because I'm watching movies, right? This is not from the movies. This is not from what I read. This is because I was there. They do not trade based on how they're feeling that morning. Right. They're trading purely with data, and that's what you guys need to do if you want to have that long-term success. It's incredibly important, and to be honest, fortunately for us, there aren't really any alternatives to Edgeful. That's just that is the truth. There are no alternatives to Edgeful, so if you guys want to trade with the data, you should be using Edgeful, to be honest, because there are no alternatives.
Yeah. No, that's amazing, Andre. Again, thank you
Yeah.
so much. Was there last question, I promise. Is there anything that working at a hedge fund sort of gives you the advantage or the upper hand or gives you some insight that maybe a day trader who's starting on their own with YouTube Academy might not
Yeah.
even think of?
Yeah. Honestly, when you realize that everything is just numbers when it comes to the markets, it kind of just like gives you this peace of mind that as long as I can solve this piece, then I can figure everything else out, right?
Right.
If you had the confidence in your strategy, you would never break your rules, right? If you knew that over the next 100 trades that the performance, the win rate would be along these lines, right, from a back test or whatever else, you would never break your rules.
Right.
And that's the same thing that I saw there is they use all data, like everyone that worked at this specific hedge fund that I worked at, none of them were finance majors. All of them were MIT PhDs in math, computer science,
Wow.
like all numbers based. None of them were like, oh, I studied accounting or I studied finance like the way that I did, right?
Right.
I didn't study math. I didn't study computer science. I studied finance and accounting. But all of these guys universally are just numbers people. And that's where as a regular trader, as someone who's like aspiring to become a full-time trader, you you need to have the numbers. And Edgeful is the place where you come to actually get access to the things that these other institutions they have, and they're obviously not going to give you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Dude, Andre, thank you so much for your time today. Guys, make sure you hit that like and definitely subscribe for next week's Future Fever episode. Andre, where could we find you on social media?
So our Twitter handle is at Edgeful. My Twitter handle is André Arslanian. I mean, I'm sure we can tag it somewhere in here, but it's my first and last name. You'll see it if you look at anything on if you go to the Edgeful Twitter, you'll see something about me there. You can follow me. I'm actually posting a lot about the Edgeful roadmap. So I just recently started posting on my personal Twitter. We're releasing Edgeful AI in Q4 of this year. So super, super excited about that, Edgeful AI. And I'm talking about the updates that are coming with that and like my favorite reports, how you could have taken this trade and everything else. So if you want to hear from me directly, my personal Twitter is going to be the place to do it. Just go to the Edgeful Twitter and you'll find me there.
Awesome. Andre, again, thank you so much for your time. Everybody hit that like button for him. Guys, make sure you stick around because I am going to go over some more questions were in the chat about Apex itself. So Andre, thank you so much for being here today.
All right. Have a good one.
Take care. All right, guys. So now we're going to pop my screen back up and we're going to take a quick look at some frequently asked questions on Apex Trader funding. So give me half a second here. So tips and FAQ, frequently asked questions for Apex. So access to multiple accounts. Guys, Apex gives you the ability to trade not 1, not 5, not 10, up to 20 copy accounts. That is massive. So as somebody who mentors people, I know that when it's time to size up, when we find consistency and it's time to size up, that plays a big psychological role on us. It's a big impact too. If we're used to risking $100 to make 300, it's a great risk to reward. It's something we're comfortable with. Once we start to increase that risk 200 to make 6, well, when my trade starts running in the red, $150, I get a little nervous. I stop out too soon. It stops me out. Then it continues. Or like Andre mentioned before, if you have a 3-to-1 risk to reward, that's your trade. That's the setup you look for, but you end up taking profit too soon. You don't let your winners run. Over time, that will start to run against you because then what's happening is you're most likely having much larger losers than you're having winners. I'm seeing some questions in the chat about different account sizes. So I'm going to skip over to this slide for you guys. So tips for each account size. Now, earlier we were talking about the 25K account had a goal of 1,500 with a trail stop of 1,500. So it's an even 1-to-1 right there. Pretty simple. We don't want to risk 2% of 25,000 though, even though if we were trading a regular trading or investing account, 2% rule is okay. When we're trading an Apex account, it is not. Semi asking if they could add a debit card option. I'm pretty sure Apex does have a debit card option. When you go to pay at the checkout, they have like payout option 1, 3, and 5. I'm pretty sure if you hit 5 and punch that info in, it should go through. Now, on to the 50K account, we see the goal is 3,000 and your trail stop is 2,500. So it's no longer a 1-to-1. It's starting to get a spread. You have to make 3,000 before you lose 2,500. So 2% of 50K, you don't want to risk $1,000. You're going to blow the account in just a couple trades. Well, 2% of 2,500, your trail stop, that's only $50. You're going to be trading an evaluation account for months. So if we risk $250 max per trade, that means it would take 10 incorrect trades in a row to hit that trail stop. So very important to keep an eye and trade the trail stop. Do not trade the account size. Somebody asks, Frozen Flame Gaming, man, good morning, good afternoon, I should say. Hello and welcome to Futures Fever. Guys, next week, I'm hopefully going to be able to get another great guest on. Been speaking to some great traders in the futures realm. Been talking with Tory Trades. Been talking with BK Traders. Got a lot of people that I am excited to bring on the show going forward. So 50K account, guys, look at the goal. Your goal is 3x. So right, 50K to 150K, that's 3 times the size. So your goal, $3,000 to $9,000. However, your trail stop only doubled. So now your trail stop is 5,000. Your goal is 9,000, almost a 2-to-1 right there. Now 2% of 150K, you're looking at a $3,000 risk. Even if you risked 1%, $1,500, you're going to blow your account in about 3 to 4 wrong trades in a row. Now, if we were risking 2% of the 5,000 trail stop that we had, that's only about $100. So it comes down to the same situation where it's okay. If we did our trail stop divided by 10, that would be 10 wrong trades to hit our trail stop. $500 per risk. If you have a 2-to-1 risk to reward and hit 9 trades in a row in your favor, you pass the account. Now with the 50K account, if you have a 2-to-1 and hit 6 trades in a row, you hit your funded, you get funded on the account. So you see how the higher the account goes, the smaller the trail stop, but the larger the goal in relevance to the account size and the more trades you end up having to take. Now look at the 250K account. Your goal is $15,000. Trail stop is $6,500. 2% of 250K is $5,000 right there. You're not even getting past 2 trades before this account is gone. 2% of 6,500, only $130. You will be trading an evaluation account all year long. So we don't want to risk $130 on a 250K account. We want to risk maybe about $650. This is going to take us now 12 correct trades in a row without any losers to pass this with a 2-to-1 risk to reward, which, as Andre pointed out before, having 9 in a row on a 50% 2-to-1 risk to reward trade, most likely not going to happen, right? You're looking for a 100% win rate. We have to be realistic with ourselves. Now, account sizes and the 30% rule. A lot of people worry about the 30% rule. We really shouldn't be even thinking about it because the 30% rule lines up perfectly with how much we should be risking per trade. So take a look at our 25K account. We said our max risk is $150. $150 per trade on the 25K account. Okay, well, 25K account, your max risk based off the 30% rule is $450. That would be 3 incorrect trades in a row. Okay, well, guess what? Now we could create some trade plans and rules in our systems to say once I hit 3 losses in a row and hit that max risk, I'm done for the day. Because guess what? My rules say I'm done for the day. And now Apex's rules are saying I'm done for the day. Account sizing wise, I should definitely be done for the day. And that's a great way to keep yourself in the right direction, in the right arena. 50K account, $750 max risk. We said it was $250 before. Same situation, 3 wrong trades, you're done for the day. You're not blowing the account. You're done for the day. You come right back tomorrow and you start fresh. And so on and so on. Guys, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe. I make sure to try to find the best people, the best futures traders possible to bring to this show so that you guys have a much greater chance of passing your evaluation accounts and getting a payout with Apex. They are by far the top prop firm out there, one of the top ones I've ever worked with, and I appreciate them immensely, as well as the Benzinga team over here as well. Guys, if you aren't following us already, follow on social media, Apex Trade Funding on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram is @tradingwithkev. and follow, of course, Benzinga across all social media platforms. I post there sporadically, covering different market updates and different economic results and impacts that might come in. This morning we had JOLTS, that's job openings. I'm going to cover that. That came in less than expected, and I'll tell you guys why and how that could impact the market. So here's a great example here of the 30% rule on the Apex accounts. Now, this is an example of the 30% rule, not on your risk side, but on the profit end. Because guess what? The 30% rule could also have an impact on how much you could technically make. So if you're trading a 50K PA account and your best trading day is $2,000, right off the bat, we know 2,000 on a 50K account. Well, that's pretty hefty because our original goal was only 3. So that's a big trade, most likely above our 30% rule. But because it's profits, it doesn't mean we have to sell it all or we have to give profits back. Absolutely not, guys. What we can do is we do the math. So 2,000 divided by 0.3 gives me 6,667. That tells me my total P&L when I go to request a payout should be above this number right here. So I don't need to lose more money to make it even. I need to continuously make that same impact, right? So if I had a $2,000 day and I do have to trade 8 trading days before a payout, well, guess what? $2,000 day, I should be able to have a few days of 500, a few days of 1,000, and that's going to eventually build up and bring me towards that $6,000 target. So that means your account must show a total profit of at least 6,600 to remain within the rules limits. If your total profit is below that, doesn't mean they penalize you. They don't cancel your account out. They just say, keep on trading. Once you hit that goal, this number right here, then you could take your payout. Hey, absolutely. Ice Baby saying, Kevin, I trade stocks, but I always learn something new from watching. Great teacher. Thank you. I appreciate that. Always happy to help. Always looking to give you guys the best information so you don't have to go all over, like I mentioned before with André. YouTube Academy, having to jump from one video to another video, figure out this strategy led to this strategy, but this guy's video told me the opposite of that other guy's video. It gets too much of a headache, right? To be able to learn from somebody directly, you're able to ask them directly, you're able to learn yourself, and they're in a position that you want to be in. When you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment, but they might not get back to it. They might not give you direct answers, and they're definitely not going to give you a little one-on-one conversation. So trailing threshold, we could skip this slide. You guys know about it. So basically the gist of the trailing threshold, guys, is if your account, now let's say you're on a 50K account on Apex, and you're in a trade, you're up $500 in profit, but you don't close the trade out. Well, guess what? Your trail stop followed that $500. So because your trail stop is following that, if you don't close that trade out and that trade comes back to break even, guess what? Your trail stop doesn't go back to break even. Your trail stop is still up that $500. So it is very important to lock in some profits. I definitely recommend if you are up 500 on a 50K account, look to maybe lock in 250, right? That's a 2-to-1 risk to reward on the 250 risk we had before. How do I get a copy of the presentation on different accounts? Katie, if you want, you can definitely, absolutely. This copy for the slides, we could take a look. If you want, direct message me. If you have Instagram, if you have X, message me there, and I will get you guys a copy of the slideshow if you guys are interested. I got a lot of slides on Apex and different rules. I like to see myself as the Apex guy, a little bit of knowledge on everything here. And guys, don't forget, fill out the form before we wrap up the show. Fill out the form for a chance to win a free Apex Trader evaluation account. You guys have been such a fantastic audience. I really hope you guys were able to learn something today with André. It is so important to be able to have a strategy and a system that you could depend on and you could return to every single day. Our goal as traders isn't to start strategy hopping. It isn't to get rich in one day. It's to build a system that has proper structure that we can follow through day after day without having that emotional attachment, right? And when we're ready to size up, guess what? With Apex, instead of having to size up with more contracts, we could add a copy account, right? And we could start to build from there, but definitely find your consistency first. Guys, if you do want to trade with me daily, I do live trade at bullishbears.com Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 11. If I'm not there, I'm live here on Benzinga. I appreciate you all. Hit that like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week here at 11:30 for Futures Fever. Take care, everybody.